One time when my oldest was very young, she walked in on me, you know, getting my nut.
Because I need to, this pussy is not going to eat itself, okay?
I once, if I did keep the evil away.
Exclusive. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. I need it.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Who is you? For make me believe otherwise. You couldn't stop what God create. A greatness running in my blood. Hello?
Of course, recording in progress. What's good? People Christ over the building. Motherhood sex marijuana in the motherfucking building. You know what I'm saying? Brooklyn is my country by EENY. Glasses in the building. All right. Ooh, let me not. We got a new setup. We got a new setup. We got new things going on. Kathleen is in the waiting room. Okay. Yes. I should let her in. I should just automatically let her in. But then Ruby's not here yet, and Ruby needs to hurry up and get here. Because this is Ruby people. I don't know her. Anyway, let me stop. Yes. Hello, Kathleen. What's going on?
Not much.
All right. Welcome to the show, of course. All right. I assume you've met Ruby before, but you haven't met me. I am the New York half of Motherhood Sex Marijuana, the podcast. You know what I mean? Ruby is the one that brought you on, and definitely I want to absolutely hear more about you, and of course, and all the things that you do and are all about. You know what I mean? But of course, Ruby should be on her way. I did let her know. It's not like she don't know about this recording, but sometimes she does arrive late sometimes. So you know what I'm
No
saying?
problem. I was worried about arriving late too. I was like, because I was like, I'm out I drive, I ride share drive, and that's how we met. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I'm like, okay, like I'm running to the library and I'm like, do you got a room? And they're like, oh no. And then they have this community room that's empty, and I'm like, I'll take it. So, because this is me putting myself out here for like the very first time on a podcast. And so I'm looking to do my own podcasting. But yeah, I actually had her in my car twice. And the second time is when she asked me if I would be a part of your guys' podcast. And I said, sure, like put yourself out there.
Absolutely. That is, first of all, that is the way that you got to do it when you believe in something, when you are, you're committed to something, you created something, and you want the world to know about it. You know what I mean? You gotta take the steps to put it out there. And so, and one of the things I say all the time is that everything happens for a reason. So I absolutely feel like, you met Ruby for a reason. She was in your car twice. That just, that seems like okay. And then she asked you to be on the podcast is because you were supposed to come on this podcast and you know what I'm saying? And like you said, do your thing. Now, I did a little bit of research, I'm going to go ahead and say. And matter of fact, Ruby, you in the building? What's good?
Hi, beautiful ladies. Kathleen again. Hi,
Hey.
Storm. Hi. I'm so sorry. I was clicking on the wrong link on the one that we did on Wednesday. That's my fault. And I was just like waiting there, like, what's going on? So my apologies, no excuses. Kathleen, it's so lovely to see you. And I see that y'all already have become acquainted with each other.
Yes.
I got it. So don't let me interrupt. I'll ask the
Uh-huh.
questions when there's a moment.
No, no. Let's be honest. We actually got to do an introduction. We actually got to do an introduction. Let her introduce herself
Okay.
and what she does, and then before that, we got to make our announcement. So now that you're here, what's the announcement? Motherhood, sex, marijuana in the
Marijuana is
motherfucking
in the
building.
building. Yes, indeed. And we got Kathleen in the building. I think you guys already talked about how we met, but I will say, from my perspective, I was so impressed by her because she was number one, she was super patient and she had this like cool vibe, you know what I mean? I take a lot of rides, both Lyft and Uber. Let's just say I don't have a car and I get lazy. And so
Girl, you ain't the only one. Fuck that. Even though I live
yes,
in New York, shoot, there's
it's
times that I need to jump on an Uber and stop playing.
yes.
I get, you know what I'm
And
saying?
you
I'd rather
meet the
do that than
most
have a car.
you meet the most remarkable people because as far as I go, like I'm not just like a sit with my headphones, although I've had those moments and all the way back. It's just like I feel that person's
Yeah,
energy.
so you judging, so you judging the people that sit back with their
No,
headphones and
I'm
want to
just
talk to the
saying that
people because
I'm more of
that's
a
just saying. I
chatty
happen to be
Cathy.
one of those people. I happen to be one of those people.
And that's
Conversation for
fine.
what? What's going
No,
on?
that's fine. And I don't even, that's so fine. It just depends on what's comfortable for you. And
Right.
when it comes to like, when I do meet someone in that space where we have time, to chat, and if they're open, then I'm certainly open as well. And
Hmm.
so, anywho, I was very impressed by how she was. And then what she said really resonated with me because life has its way of doing all these weird things. And then sometimes we get all like down and out, and it's just part of the experience. But it's like the perspective, right? After having
Right.
experienced some very
Mhm.
tumultuous times. And so, anywho, I felt I don't just go inviting everybody on the podcast because I don't think we're everybody's cup of tea. But somehow I felt like Kathleen would get it. And I also
Mhm.
felt like she had something that we could all benefit from knowing in terms of information and which coincides with her mission. So with that said, I'm gonna mute.
Yes, and yes, Kathleen, this is your chance to go ahead and introduce yourself and introduce your business because I definitely want to say that I did a little bit of research on your website and it gives that you're a mom that went through the trenches and
Oh,
wish that that there was programs out there to help you go through those trenches and now you have developed some sort of program that will assist women in those senses. So go ahead, we'll mute and you can introduce yourself.
okay. So I started to empower you because of that exact thing that I was a single mom that just struggled from check to check, robbing Peter to pay Paul and Paul to pay Peter, whatever. And when I went to the community resources, there was no programs at the time that I was a single mother. And the cycle that I kept going in, I call it the hamster wheel. You just keep going in the cycle, and you would go into, even if you went in to get assistance, you either made too much to get assistance, or they really judged you and they were your judge and jury whether you got access to some services or not. And if you didn't know how to advocate for yourself, then you didn't know you had to push the limit. And this is why it's so important to me, because even now, when I look at my daughters who are single mothers, again, the cycle, and they haven't went and seeked a lot of that assistance. I would say, well, go here, go there. But at the same time, they're in that make too much, can't get the assistant. But the programs out there are, I say, superficial. They teach you the bare minimum. Now, you didn't get in this life overnight, and in the cycle. You were, between TV and family and people that you were around, you kept repeating the cycles. And I want to help families get out of that cycle. Individuals, families, get out of that cycle. Let's dig a little deeper. Let's put some thought-provoking questions to you so that it's not just, like I love when they say, oh, budget and emergency fund. Okay, first of all, I ain't got no money to budget because I'm living beyond my checks. And second of all, emergency fund ain't gonna happen because every time I try to get ahead, I'll say it, I get slapped sideways. And we're going like, oh, what just happened? I thought I was gonna have this money to do some stuff, and then, I don't. Or and so that's how 2EMPOWERU really became a vision. I mean, like, I felt called to do it. And I'm tired of, people getting all this money to do these programs, and yet I'm still in the same cycle because your system does not work, because it doesn't, you almost need life coaching with the financial education. And it, like I said, my financial education program that I have created, it is my journey. It was me going to find the answers, not what they gave me. They gave me so minimum that I couldn't get out of that cycle. And then I did get out of that cycle. But sometimes you get hit sideways, you're doing really good, and you're just like, bam, like, what just happened? Damn.
Right.
So that's like, obviously you probably went to my website. You saw me with 3 babies.
Yes, I did.
And now I see, like, when I look at my children, I see myself reflecting in them. Like, this one's this one, that one's that's, part of me, and that one's that's part of me. I'm like, wow. When they say, I hope you have a child just like you, like, I got 3 of them.
Exactly. And we right there with you. Trust and believe, because I'm sure Ruby sees a lot of herself in her children. Never mind in the children that I have. I happen to have 3 girls. One of they go from 27 to almost 16 to almost 10. So trust me, I see my own characteristics, and I'm glad you came up with that, that concept, and, want to do something about it based on the fact that how you had to, like I said before, go through the trenches. Because, like, in that situation, when you're, when you're raising kids, and you go to like services, like the first thing they want to do is, is ask you how much money you making. And they're not asking net. They asking gross. You know what I mean? They make judgments based on gross. And gross is not what you take home. And everybody knows that no one on earth takes home gross. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless you're working under the books. No one in a book, nobody works and takes home gross. They take home net. So when you count in gross, and then you want to say that I'm making too much money for you to help me with something like, let's say, daycare, because daycare alone, you know what I mean, we can go into thousands, into thousands just for the month alone, never mind, groceries and, you know what I'm saying, travel expenses, you know what I mean? Whether if you happen to have a car, that's an expense, or you and somebody like me who lives in a big city where, there's public transportation still, that's still an expense. You know what I mean? So all of it, taking all of that in, and then it's like just because it may be $1 more, $2 more, you don't want to give a person food stamps or like cash assistance or like childcare. And it's like, how you going to do that when that person might not even be making enough money at wherever they work at in order to take care of all of that, plus maintain themselves. You know what I mean? Because that's one of the main subjects that's happening, even especially here in New York, where it's like, you're in a little 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and the rent is asking you for $3,000, $3,500 for the little 1-2 bedroom, and then they telling you have to, your salary, in order to apply for that apartment, your salary has to be $90K and above. And it's like, let's say your salary is $45K, you looking at them like, excuse you, but then at the same time you're just like, how am I going to pay $3,500 worth of rent, plus pay the babysitter, plus pay for my transportation, plus buy food, plus take care of myself, plus take care of this child, plus, I mean, you know what I mean? In situations like that, women, especially single parents, need help. And a lot of these government, entities that you apply for, they don't see that. They just see that, they just do a little couple of calculations based on gross and say, oh yeah, you make too much money, we can't help you, goodbye.
Well, here's the other thing is you could still be living in poverty because they don't do your debt to income ratio either, because and you're still actually living in poverty because your debt to income ratio is within that guideline of that federal poverty line. But here's even, think about you're on welfare, which is, I gotta say, for those idiots that think anybody could live off of welfare, they can't, because today, and I'll give you just in Oregon, today, when I was on welfare, I got $560 for 4 of us. Now, 1-bedroom apartment was $500 then, right? But I couldn't get a 1-bedroom because there was 4 of us. And
you have to get like a 2-bedroom.
Then you only got $60, and you got to pay for your utilities, your things that food stamps didn't cover, etc. Well, like today, within the last several years here, my daughter had 2 kids and her. She got $565 for 3 people. Rent, just base rent, was $1,200. Where the hell is shortcoming coming from? Because, and this is the system keeping you in the system, keeping you down. And, people want to judge you like, well, you shouldn't have had all them kids. Well, you know what? I had them. They're here. They didn't ask to be here. I chose.
That's neither here nor there. Apples and oranges, player. Don't count and question what my pum pum did. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Okay,
Has nothing to do.
You step back on that.
Right. And
Mhm.
Kathleen, I was going to ask, what is your ethnicity?
White.
That's
What?
why. Okay, I
I
didn't want to
mean,
assume
okay,
because. Well, I
because
didn't want to
I'm.
assume because there's even Black women that might have your skin tone. So I didn't want. I wanted you to confirm that. But what I wanted to say to that is, we need more white people like you. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
So. And what I mean is that somebody somewhere has to give a shit, and we can
Right.
only do so much as minority groups until some people are like, well, that's cute. It takes really an ally, the help of allies with the
Mhm.
community, not just allies, not just communities, but to really make some noise when you're talking about really shifting the way that people live their lives in this society, I would say.
Right.
Now, I would ask also, could you walk us through the steps? If somebody wanted to participate in your program, what would be the intake process and what could they expect and need and be required to provide for you?
Right.
Okay. First of all, so my program is not free. And the reason why it's not free is because it's not that superficial stuff. And so I have an application, you fill it out. Now in Oregon, I do have like 15 scholarships that as long as they live in Multnomah County, they can, um, you know, I'm kind of doing maybe first come, first serve on that one.
Okay.
But
Okay.
so they can reach out to me at info at 2-empoweru, and it's 2-EMPOWERU .org, and ask to be a part of the financial classes. And then we can have a little one-on-one, but they have to want to change, because I can't
Mm,
guarantee you change unless you're willing to take a hard look at you, because it starts with you. And I can blame the system and stuff, but I also made the choices I made. And yes, I didn't have that financial education, right? These are things I learned over time. I'm not, I don't want to say I'm like an expert, because I say do your own research, but I'm going to provide you knowledge, and I've taken trainings and things like that. And that's
mm,
why it's important, because it starts with your mind. It starts with you wanting to change, want something different. You also have to want your kids to not want the life that you're going through, because
mm.
for me, I think that you need to include them when you start talking about your finances, because our kids just think the money falls off the tree.
Exactly.
I mean, I got
Exactly.
grandkids that just text me $20, Grandma, $20. And I'm like, I ain't your ATM. Lose my number. Because I love you, but
Exactly. Exactly. But no,
but
that's
they don't
really
understand
important.
that. Right? They don't understand, if I make $20 an hour and you want $100 pair of Nikes, well, that's 5 hours just for the Nikes. Now, if I gotta take the ride share and my time to go get them, why don't we just add another 40? That's 7 hours. That's almost one day of work to get you a pair of Nikes. When is it going to make a difference if you wear Nike or Shaq? No, because Shaq's a lot cheaper. But he
Or
did
some
what,
T-moves with no brand, you know what I mean?
right, or no brand, right?
Or make your own tennis shoes with those Timo shoes, right? Those kind
Oh
Right.
of
Lord.
conversations.
Oh
Those
Lord.
things are important to teach your kids, because they don't understand money. They don't understand how hard you have to work. All they see is, I want, I want, I want. Well, okay. Now you want the $100 pair of shoes. What are you going to do to make $100. What would now I need 7 hours worth of work. What are
Right.
you going to do in the house? If I go buy these, I need you to work for them too. Because if we start teaching
Exactly.
them to work and understand that it takes a lot of hours to
Let me
get
tell you
those things.
something. In my house, I have always made it always down, made it clear from my oldest child all the way down to the first child. Before they come to me and ask me for something, they look for the cheapest version.
Mhm.
Like for Christmas, my daughter, my youngest, wanted a skateboard. She made sure and went to Amazon. She was like, "Yes, mommy, I found this one. This one is the cheapest one there." I was like, "Yeah," because she know I don't play that.
Yeah.
Nah, they know from foundation. I don't play that. Don't worry about what I'm spending on me. What I spend on me is because hello, I'm the one out there going to get it. So as long as I take care of you, you don't come to me with expectations. You get what you get. You get what you get. Don't play with me. It's
But
always been like
see,
that in my crib.
we got kids that feel entitled now. Like,
Oh yeah, I know
you
them.
remember
They don't live here
you,
though. They don't live here though. That's the good thing. Is that I know them and they don't live with me because
but
that ain't
you
never
know, like,
been encouraged up in my section. Absolutely not. You might want to watch yourself. You play with me. You watch yourself. You know what I mean? Me and Ruby have had conversation plenty about different styles of discipline and how
mhm.
things are being dealt with. And I've always been the from the I don't really play that bullshit type of household. So no, entitled where,
Exactly.
who, with who in this house? You no.
But see, most mothers will put themselves last too. We don't even like,
And
I,
that's another thing we don't encourage around here. That's
right?
another thing we don't encourage around here. Excuse. How I'm supposed to take care of you if I'm not taking care of me? Excuse? No, ask yourself a question. If I'm not taking care of me, how I'm taking care of you?
Right. But it
Mhm.
is so true though, right?
Right. It's very
Yeah.
true. We don't go out and buy, we might need a new pair of jeans or whatever, but we don't go out. We'll buy the kids something because they need clothes too, because they grow faster than us. And, that's the thing is we can't even keep up with their clothes needs, let alone, you know, those clothes needs that we have. Like,
Mhm.
okay, I can do fine with 2 pairs of jeans. I don't need 15 pairs of jeans. You don't like what I wear? That's your problem because their clothes, they cover my body and they do the job. And if I need some nice clothes, I have my nice clothes. But it is that particular thing that we think that, our kids, they didn't ask to be here. I don't know. My kids always seem to gravitate towards the kids that have money. And I'm like, you know, and so their friends are, mommy and daddy's just throwing cash at them. They have no concept. If their world was to fall apart, they they wouldn't know how to pick themselves up. They wouldn't know who to call. I mean, there are people that don't know about social services and who to call.
And that's so true because and mostly because they either never even thought that they existed or they just dismiss them because they feel like they're living a life that they don't need them, you know what I mean? And see the problem is that you're approaching with your business and your movement is that you want to create a system where people are actually help feeling like they can get help even though, you know, certain services might say they make too much money, or
Mhm.
they're you know, they could be self-sufficient when they're really not, because they still need assistance. Now, my question for you is, when someone is in your program, what exactly are they doing to, like, how do they come to you? Like for me, I would assume, like, would it be a situation where, you know, a woman would come to you and be like, listen, you know, I gotta go to work. You know, daycare costs $450 a week, and I can't afford it based on the fact that my salary is only $15 an hour. So therefore, you know, after taxes, I barely bring home, you know, uh, half of that. So I
Right.
could, you know, so how would you help me if that was someone that came to you?
Well, first of all, you have to look at what your resources are around you. Like, I had great family support.
Hmm.
I had a mother and a brother that I didn't have to pay their daycare. And
Mm.
sometimes you can find that neighbor that they need a little help. So maybe they're willing to watch your kids for less than a traditional daycare. But we also have to advocate for, you know, we talk about like church, and what are you doing for your community? Where is
Hmm.
your daycare in your community from the church for people that don't work? They want to give, they want to do something, but you don't create a program in your church to provide daycare or after school care to help even your members,
Mm.
right? We have to start asking our churches, our, you know, our businesses. Think about, you go to work and I need daycare. Why don't you have daycare part of our um, workplace? Because you can apply for the grants to get money to pay somebody to come up in here. And guess what? You get me to come to work because my kids are over there getting daycare as a benefit for me working with you, and you're getting the resources, you're providing the resources. We need employers to start stepping up to the plate too,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
if we get employers to start stepping up to the plate, we get our churches to start, you know, there's plenty of people that volunteer. And guess what? Like, corporations, they pay their employees to work 8 hours somewhere else to volunteer for a nonprofit. So, why aren't these resources being accessed? Why aren't we even asking for this? We're not asking for this as mothers, as parents. You could be in a two-parent family. You could be struggling or you could not be struggling. But do you understand, if I could go to work and I know that I could bring my kids, I didn't have to take two buses to get them to the babysitter and then another bus, because that time, you know, now we have rideshare. We didn't have it.
Mm.
So if you didn't have a car, you're taking a bus. And you think about it, if I spent 4 hours on a bus getting my kids to the babysitter, from the babysitter home. Now I got to cook dinner. I'm wore out. I don't even want to hear your nonsense. I don't even have time to sit down and help you with your homework because I'm exhausted. You need to shower, go to bed, and let's get up and do this rodeo again tomorrow, because until the weekend, and I just
Mhm.
want to sleep in on the weekend. So we have to start asking more as individuals and start creating, writing our legislature to create these programs, to create this funding so that women or fathers, because there are single fathers or parents, have the ability to go to work. I mean, you think about when you're off of welfare and now you got a job that doesn't even provide you medical care. You can get medical care for your kids. Who the heck cares if you drop dead? Because your kids can either go to your family or go in the system. You know, they don't care about you. They don't care about your health. And this is where we have to understand, if we don't start taking care of us and we don't start advocating for us, you know, you think about housing. The housing wait list is so long. It ain't even funny. Your kids will be out of high school before you get on housing.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, 10 years ago, it was 10 years on the wait list.
Right.
So now what do you think the wait list is? Because we got all this homelessness, yet I'm a single mother. I'm going out here to work. And in Oregon, you're going to give a drug addict housing because they're a single person without the requirement of going into a facility first. Oh, and do they even want to get off of drugs? Now you're housing them. They're getting high in an apartment complex where maybe a family is there. And guess what? You got the vents. So your kids are being, think about fentanyl is huge, right? Or meth creeping up through your vents. That is affecting your health. Yet you're willing to put them in housing without having them take the steps to get clean. And then job programs. I mean, if you've ever went through a job program through the TANF system, what a joke. Because the resume they had you build, you might as well throw it in the trash because it's so simple and it doesn't tell who you are as a person, what you've done, really what you've done, because it's just so bare minimum. We just crossed off the boxes. Oh, she made a resume. Oh, she did her job search, you know. But you're going to give, right now, they're giving people housing without requirements of financial education, without requirements of job search. But if I go on unemployment, I got to go look for a job, need 3 jobs a day at least.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But today, our people are getting their rent paid for a year. They have no requirements, and the year comes up and they still in the same boat. And here we go with, you know, but I make too much. So now I can't even get housing. And then say you get sick, you can't pay your rent. You go to the churches. We only help our members. Well, last time I checked, we're all God's people. It is what I told them, you know. But or you go to get rent assistance through programs. Oh, we don't have any. But you're trying to prevent homelessness. Really? Are you? Because now I can't pay my rent and all my bills are going to fall behind because the first time I get any money, guess where it's got to go? I got to keep that roof over our head. And now we're just going to go without. We're going to struggle and we're going to keep trying to, as I say, keep our heads above the water. We're not drowning yet, but we're really close to drowning. And think about if you didn't have a car, where are you going to go? Do you want to take your kids to a shelter? Probably not, you know?
Absolutely not.
Right?
Absolutely
And
not.
so these are these cycles, but we don't even know how to advocate for ourselves because we haven't been taught to advocate for ourselves. You are to be seen and not heard is how we grew up. And that plays in the back of our mind. You are to be seen and not heard. Don't make no noise, because then.
Well, let me ask you this though, because I mean, first of all, I could tell you like this, because me and Ruby met when we both lived in Seattle, so I lived on the West Coast, and I definitely hear what you're saying when it comes to how they deal with their programs, and you know what I'm saying, and yes, it to them it seems like it does make sense to try to get rid of the people, being homeless and just, put them in apartments and whatnot without actually, knowing if they could actually continue to pay the rent after, they stop paying the rent, or even, showing them, never mind the fact if they just happen to be on drugs, where any money that they do get is going to be spent on drugs, period. So, you know what I mean? So I get what you're saying, and on that side of the coast, I can tell you that finding that type of help is definitely easier and faster than it is on the East Coast.
You're correct.
Because you know what I mean. Because I could tell you, with me and myself, like that whole thing is a slow process. It's definitely a slow and grinding process where you gotta you know what I mean, you gotta keep behind them in order to even get help. So it's not just, it don't matter. Matter of fact, it make it worse if you are someone that, happen to have some kind of drug addiction or drug history, because that's when the grind is slower for you. But the people that are actually needing help in that situation, they are the ones that literally have to, keep behind people in order to get any type of assistance. Because again, in a big city, we don't just deal out the money. We make you really, walk through walls for it. You know what I mean? So that's how things run out here. But I'm gonna tell you like this, even as a person, and that, was at one time where, I lived on the West Coast and needed assistance, whether I had a job or not. You know what I mean? The process of going through it, you know what I mean, was harder. You know what I mean? I couldn't just come off and say, oh, go to the neighbor or go to family, because I just moved there. So it was just like, I don't know none of these people. So I'm not just going to trust somebody I don't know. And you're right. Some of the churches, I remember even applying and asking, assistance from a church. And it was like, it was on something like, you know what I mean? After filling out all this paperwork and doing all this extraness, they still came out and told me that they could only help me with $100. And it was just like, you had me go through all of this to tell me you can only help me with $100. Like I could have, like you could have called me on the phone and just had me discuss something before you told me that you was only gonna give me $100. Like I get it. Like the whole process of that definitely is a struggle, especially when you're applying for different positions. Because for me, I was applying for different positions, and the wait time between applying and getting hired, that wait time would be one thing, and then once you get hired, then you might have to go through a certain type of slow process before you actually get a paycheck. Because I've been hired where, they tell you, oh, you got to wait 5 weeks before your first paycheck hits. And it's like 5 weeks, so going through struggles. Yeah. Going through struggles like that. I could definitely, see where, say whatever, what you're doing, would come off as help and assistance to certain people. But but at the same time, I'm trying to understand what exactly do you use to delegate? Like how do you Like, how do you vet people? Like, what are
See, I don't,
what's your criteria when it comes to
I don't,
accepting people?
if somebody wants to come in and do the program, that's on them. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you make money. But if you want to, there are a lot of young kids that are like, I wish I can't wait until you start your program because I need this. And we are not, I don't discriminate. It's like, because here's the thing is, like I said, my program's not free, but I guarantee you will get information that nobody will teach you in those free courses. No one.
Okay.
I mean, go take the free courses. Go ahead, because you're going to stay in the same pocket. And when we talk about change, it's up to you. I can't guarantee you're going to change, because if you don't put in the work, you don't do your due diligence on your part,
Right.
and understand how to move forward, then that's on you. That's not on me. I can provide you information, because mine's just educational information that I sit here and I go and I study. I've went to different programs. I've went to see what they're offering. And I know, I don't just say it's superficial. I know it's superficial because I've went through those programs. I mean, you think about SBA to start a business, right? You go, they say, oh, we have a mentor. Okay, well, you need to do a business plan. Guess what? You on your own. You did the business plan. Okay, it looks good. They don't give you feedback to say, okay, you should probably change this. You should do this. They don't give you that. But guess what? Somebody sitting in that office getting paid money not to teach you. Why am I getting? And this is the problem: is there's so many programs are getting paid to do a job that's not doing a job. It doesn't. But they okay with that, because guess what? They got a job.
They got a job and federal funding and sort of things like that, right?
Exactly.
So you know what? This is really intriguing. Are you okay with talking prices, or is that more during the consultation is where that's determined?
Well, because I figure, like, to do the program, because you're gonna have to do some homework and you're gonna have to do some things like that. So I priced it at like $360 for 6 months. And
that's actually very, very affordable.
That's
That's reasonable.
Definitely.
And we're not just talking about grab your credit report, because you got to get your credit report, because everybody teaches about credit report, what's to look for and whatever. But now we got to walk you through. You're going to track your spending for 3 months, because you need to know where you're spending your money. Because how are you going to figure out where you can cut or what you can do differently if you don't, like
inventory?
If you look at what you spend on your ride share, you're probably going, holy moly. Like,
I might as well get a car sometimes, as I wonder.
Because people don't look at what they're really spending on rideshare. They're like, it's cheaper for me not to have a car. It's cheaper for me not to pay insurance. I'm like, is it? Because it depends. If you pay $80 to $100 to get to and from work every day, 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wouldn't do that.
That's see, hold on.
You're like, oh,
okay, because that's West Coast talk right there. All the East Coasters right now is like, what's going on? It's $80 to go to work.
But it's true. That is
But it depends on where you
West Coast talk. Cause real talk around here, people pay $2. Well, some people, I'm gonna tell you right now, cause there's people that tell you straight up, I hop the train, I don't pay for no train, don't pay for no bus. I've seen people walk on the bus and walk straight up and ignore the bus driver. Matter of fact, I remember telling Ruby last time Ruby was here when she was in New York. Like, listen, just walk past the bus driver. He ain't gonna say nothing. He ain't gonna say nothing. So
Allegedly.
$2.90 is the most you're gonna spend around here, unless you ride some of the expensive, expensive trains like the Metro North and the Long Island Railroad or something like that. Or if you going to Jersey, you might spend a little extra coin. Yes, but other than that, no.
I
Ride
chalk it
around
up
here
to
is
it's all stolen land.
$2.90.
You know, the way that the TriMet goes through all of the stolen land that's been taken from, indigenous cultures, then it kind of washes itself out when I go jump in, allegedly. So I also have a question regarding, okay, so they got the program, we got that information. What platforms do you find most effective to use in providing the classes online? Because I assume it's an online course.
It is, but I'm going to do more like Zoom sessions, group Zoom. I am looking at what platform I would like to create something down the road. And I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you're in New York. I don't care if you're in Oregon, Washington. I don't care. If you really want to do something and change your life, I don't care where you live, because my goal is to make a difference. I know this is my calling, and it hadn't left me. I started this before I was even ready. I got my nonprofit status. I got all that done. But I had to do a little more for me before I felt like I could put it out there. And, and when you talk about West Coast to East Coast, I like out here, we're a little more trusting. We're a little more laid back. Now your bigger cities, they don't trust nobody.
That's true. That's true, and that's how I run. And I ain't gonna lie,
Right.
that's exactly how I rolled when I lived in Seattle. I lived in Seattle for 7 years, and I was always on. I was always on New York time. Like you saw me, you spoke to me, you heard New York City. You was like, yes, that's not. She's not. We not. Yes, we not the same. They not like us. They not like us. They not like us. I'm just saying though. So, you know what I mean? So trusting neighbors and all of that was never an option. Like I said, when I was out there and I needed daycare, I had to do the daycare center. And it wasn't until right before I was leaving Seattle that I actually found a daycare that, that was like home run. And she was, she had her license and she had, different kids, but I literally could go up to her and talk to her like, listen, I know this is your fee, but this is what I got. This is how much I get paid. This is what I can give you. And you know what I'm saying? And so she worked it out with me, but every daycare before that, I had to just pay whatever the fee was, you know what I mean? So, and there was times that I would get, assistance from government to pay for daycare. There was times that I had to pay daycare myself, and so, but that was my only option. It wasn't no neighbor. None of that.
You didn't have family there.
That just to get to know. Like I said, I was always on New York time out there, like New York time.
That's what I loved about it.
Right. But even when you talk about the bus system, like we got the fare inspectors out here, you're gonna get a fine. But maybe in New York.
I mean, it ain't like New York City don't got police and the people that. but sometimes they not looking, and sometimes they don't care. I'm just telling you how it is, and I ain't saying allegedly, because hello, I ride New York City Transit all the time, and if you Google YouTube if you go to YouTube and Google New York City Transit, you'll see some shit that go on to New York City that you just cannot believe, but yet it does happen. So yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah, it does. It most
Well,
certainly
like I
does
said,
happen. It
I
most
lived
certainly
in
does
Dallas.
happen. So, but
It's
no, I
totally different.
remember in Seattle that yes, the buses would have the people that would let you know you better pay before you get on this bus, because we will, and we will. So I never played that game in Seattle, but New York City, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes they just, sometimes you can talk to the police officer and tell him, listen, I don't got no money, but I need to go somewhere. Okay, I don't got no money, okay, but I need to go somewhere. And sometimes he'll say, you know what, I don't give a fuck. Go through. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
give a
so
fuck.
funny. And so, Kathleen, in terms of like, we know your mission. That's so beautiful. It's so inspiring. How do you allow yourself any moments of pure, unadulterated freedom? And what does something like that look like?
Mm.
I don't know, because I work.
I'm sorry,
You
what?
know, I barely take time for myself, honestly, because I'm working to pay my bills, and then I'm working when I go home to my business, to try to transition from rideshare over to what it is I've been called to do. And it's like I took one day off last Sunday and went and drove to the country to go see my grandson for his birthday.
Oh,
But you know what? I got to my granddaughter's house. Her house was nasty. And for me to cook, I had to clean her house before I could cook. So that day off didn't even come. It's like, really? You knew your grandma was coming, and she wasn't there. She disappeared for the whole day. And I'm just like, she's like, well, my house is a little messy. It's from my little sister that came to visit. I'm like, yeah, no, this ain't your sister. This is your nastiness.
The things that
madness if you don't know, right? It's funny.
child, I wouldn't know nothing about that foolishness, because baby, everybody would have got cussed out. Cuss out for you. Cuss out for you. Cuss out for you. What? Everybody would have got a cuss out. Excuse you. Clean house. Who? What? I'm your maid. Oh, so I come on my day off to become your maid. Excuse. I will get in my car and go home. Excuse you. Excuse all of you. No. Security don't gotta
You were
walk me
too
out the door.
kind, Kathleen.
No.
And that
Excuse you.
is,
You way too kind. Because I wouldn't have cleaned the goddamn thing. I would have packed the grandson. I would have been like, let's go to Chuck E. Cheese. You get in the car. Let's
well,
go to
I
Chuck
already
E.
spent
Cheese. What we not
$125
going
on
to?
the way up. I
Oh
bought some
my.
groceries to cook for him because he wanted certain things for his birthday.
Oh
Oh,
my
And
God! See, so you
so
ain't
you
thinking
I
know,
had
about.
to
the
clean it
baby.
before I could use the pots and pans because
Oh
they was in the
hell
sink.
no! That's a absolutely not. I'm gonna kick somebody ass. Somebody gonna cash at me some money after I done. What? Somebody better pay for a manicure, a pedicure, or something. What happened? Oh no! Somebody better cash app Zelle. What? Oh no! I don't hear my phone dinging,
Oh
because
my
every time I get a
goodness.
cash app, my phone dings. I don't hear a ding. I don't hear a ding.
I
What?
think
I tell
I
them to
don't
lose
hear
my
a ding.
number. I
hey,
said, lose my number. I don't know you people. I
hey,
don't live like
there you
Man,
this,
go.
and honestly, I've taken care of my family for a long time, and I moved to Memphis
Interesting.
about 10 years ago. Yeah, crazy Memphis. um, I went there, and I was like, finally, I got me back. I got me back. I got to do me.
and see,
That's right.
that's what you have to do, honey.
That's
You
right.
have to.
Right.
You cannot call yourself saying that you don't have time for you. That's fuck shit. That's
you know.
absolute
So,
fuck shit. I'm be the first to tell you. It's the first time I'm meeting you. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm the kind of person that tell you straight up to your face. I ain't got time to hold back or sugarcoat nothing. Ruby might have told you that before you even got on here. That I don't really play
no,
that.
she didn't
So
warn me
what?
about you.
So, oh, she didn't warn you? Well, here I go. Let me explain how this gonna go. See, what you need to do is have time for yourself, because that's how you'll be able to actually, put full 100% into your business, like
Right.
you said, because all of us are
Yes.
trying to, all of High Storm in the building. Motherhood Sex Marijuana, Rolling Papers in the building. Motherhood Sex Marijuana, merch in the building. If you're here, we thank you and we most certainly appreciate you. But we want you to spread the word, tell a friend, subscribe, make sure and get yourself some rolling papers. And of course, if you want to sponsor an episode, if you want to be on an episode, if you have products you want to show us that we want to show the people, come through. You feel me? Motherhood Sex Marijuana, Rolling Papers, merch, YouTube, subscribe, fight all the algorithms and let us get in. Yeah? Us have a 9 to 5 or some place that we make our direct deposits and or cash rules everything around me. All of us have one of those, and then we have our creativity section that we want to put all of our into in order to get rid of the whatever that we don't
9 to
really
5.
want to do during the daytime. Like, we all have that. So, but in order to maintain all of that while maintaining young people, or people you taking care of, you got to take care of you first. You got to take a minute to take care of you first, whether it's getting your nails done. Because for me, it's definitely my nails. I don't do $40 nails. No. I don't do press on nails. I do the So you know what I'm saying? It's about making sure you look
Whatever you
whatever
like.
it is for you, whether it's a massage, whether it's what I'm saying, the relaxation of a blunt. I'm just saying, whatever it is. Whatever it
Or
is that
adding to your
whatever it is you
portfolio.
need to do to make you feel good, that you could say to yourself, you took a minute out for you. You have to do that. You
Amen.
cannot continue and put in anything
And for
and
everybody else.
think that things are gonna flourish if you don't got time for yourself. That's not how things set. That's not how
Right.
anything is going to set
Yeah.
in order for it to become excellence. You know
Not the
what I mean? You
love.
gotta
That's
have
true.
time for you.
Yes. And
I
we are
take I take
really
myself to dinner.
I'm sorry.
I take myself to dinner.
So
I go
there
get
you
my
There
go.
you
nails
go.
done.
There you go. See, shit like that. I do that I do that with myself too, because it's
I
like,
buy
Me
myself
too.
I
flowers.
want to be able to buy what I want.
Me
Like,
too.
You know,
It's
I
I
treat
want to be able
me.
to say, yeah,
good.
pass the check and I could pay for it. You damn right. Hello, pass the check. I
That's
got it.
right.
What happened? I got it.
Exactly. But here's the thing. We do have to learn to take care of ourselves. We do have to say, you know what? This is my time. This hour is my time. I
Absolutely.
don't care if I'm going to get a massage, I'm getting my nails done,
Ooh,
I'm going
especially
to the
those.
mall.
Going
This
to the
is my
mall.
time. Even if I go out, I love going out sometimes and just taking a walk in nature, because being out here on the West Coast, we got
Of
nature
course,
all around us.
y'all got forests and shit. I know. I remember
Right.
that.
And it's just so refreshing to be outside and be connected just to that freshness. And,
Absolutely.
Right.
and
Oh yeah, I
like,
remember it. I ain't
you
saying
don't,
I miss it,
none of
because
us got
that's
that
not what I miss on the West Coast. I'm gonna tell you right now, I miss the dispensaries. That's about it. But
up to you.
I'm just saying, I'm gonna keep it real. You know what I'm saying? I was a New Yorker in Seattle. I was a full New Yorker for all the time I was there. I was a full New Yorker. So going back to
Mhm.
New York, it's like, okay, that's where you were supposed to be at in the first place. You're right. You're right.
But see, sometimes the journey is not, sometimes we have to move to evolve, because
True.
when, like, if we keep thinking, I have people that go, I just want a man to take care of me. I don't want a man to take care of me. I want to be able to take care of me first, because I need, if you go sideways, I need to know that I can go get that place, that this, you know, I don't want to take care of you, because if I got to take care of you and I didn't birth you, I don't need you. And there's too many women that keep taking care of these men that ain't stepping up and
I
and
ain't even
helping
gonna
them.
lie to you. That's a lot of things that I used to see on the way. I'm not saying that it don't happen on the East Coast. I'm not saying that, but it was too obvious for me on the West Coast. I used to see it and be like,
It is.
I know for a
It
fact he ain't
is.
got a job. I know she taking care of him.
Yeah.
Mm.
See, you know, and that's the thing, is that we have this misconcept that we need to find that man and create a family and do this and to get that house. And again, these are programmings that they're not right. I can buy my own house. I
Word,
can buy my own car. I can take
word.
myself out to dinner. Now, is
Mm,
it nice that you treat me like that? I don't want a man to come in and I'll sweep you off your feet, because see, here's the problem. You get that man that financially is set. He could pay for everything. He could buy you a car, whatever. But when it comes down to it, and you say, "No, honey, I don't want to do that," it's, I pay for this shit. You get this, you
basically,
get that. It
Basically, yeah.
becomes
basically,
financial
basically.
abuse. And no, I'm not a woman to be controlled, because you tell me I can't do something. If I say, honey, I want to do this, and he'll tell me, no, honey, you can't do that. I'll be like, watch me, watch me, because
Man,
you're
Right.
to
listen,
control me. I'm not to
nowadays,
be
the
controlled.
whole thing, nowadays, the whole thing that's going on is that dudes is judging females for taking themselves on vacation. And it's like, sir, was I supposed to wait for you to make the move? Or was I supposed to
Right.
just go by myself and mind my business because I ain't got no time to deal with you and whatever you trying to do? You know what I mean?
Well, and
Because
then
it's
it's
not, because
also
let's be honest, if I could pay for it myself, then I don't need to be bothered with you. What happened?
entitlement.
Wait a
It's a lot
minute.
of and it's not right. And I will
Mhm.
admit though, when I was married, because I was the breadwinner, there were times where I had that attitude where I was like, "Hey, I pay the bills over here," and I sounded like a big
Mhm.
old jackass because it's like, how dare I? And I'm not saying that this partner was perfect either, but from my own
Right. Right.
perspective and keeping myself accountable for my next relationship, it's like, even if I am holding it down financially, never do I ever feel like should feel that this is just me doing everything, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of work that goes into a relationship and holding a house down, holding kids
Word,
down, holding anything
Mhm.
down. And it's like,
word,
who at the end of the day, who gives a fuck about your job? And
right.
at that, and so I'm really grateful for this transparency here. And I just can't help but feel like it was a lot of my pain and a lot of the things that were like unsavory that make me so strong today. And I
Right.
feel like, why not give it that, because then it's not in vain and I'm not sitting here victimizing myself or whatever. And I think
Mhm.
there's true power in taking and in realizing that there's a problem, and
Mhm.
then having the humility to have, not only identify it with your purpose in life and your mission,
Mhm.
but also be humble enough to kind of be guided by, by a greater force, and to give that force that energy of respect, because then it becomes this greater reach, and I think that I feel that way about this podcast. It's
Right.
very homemade. It's me and my best friend talking just like we would on the telephone call, and with amazing people incorporated.
Mhm.
And we were, the way that you do it. And it's like, I feel sometimes like I wouldn't change a dang thing. I don't
Word.
even care. Like, even with a bigger budget, we just gonna be doing the same thing and wherever we're at, you know. And so I just really hats off to
Absolutely.
you
No
for
matter what the
sharing.
budget is, it ain't gonna change the theme
No,
or the structure of this situation right here. Absolutely not.
and exactly, because being real, people can relate to you. That's the thing. Being real, people can relate to you. You know,
We
like
have been told that
I tell
before.
people when they get in my car, I say, you ain't just paying for a ride. You're gonna get some knowledge while you up in here.
Boom.
And you
Nice.
know, me and Ruby, she got in the car, we just had a little conversation, and then the next time, it was like, I think within a week, I had her in my car again, and we had an even more in-depth conversation. And that's when she said, would you come on the podcast? Because
Mhm.
I believe if we teach our children, male or female, what type of relationship to have, if we are disrespected by our partner, then our
Mm.
kids can say, I can disrespect my mom and she's going to take it. Or
Yeah.
disrespect my dad, he's going to take it. It doesn't matter which way it is. And I tell young men, just because you break up with that woman and you have a kid, you need to teach your daughter still to respect her mother, even if she
Mhm.
is the biggest beep, whatever, you don't like her. But here's the thing, is how you treat her mother in that relationship when you guys are together, um, is how your daughter's relationship going to be. So if you want to
Yeah.
treat her mother with disrespect, your daughter is going to get treated with
Thank
disrespect.
you.
And
And
you
thank
can
you for
kick
saying
Absolutely.
that.
somebody's butt, but
Right.
she's going to kick
Absolutely.
your own ass for the disrespect you gave her mother. You
Mhm.
know, but here again, now we got to teach our sons how to treat a woman,
Right.
and how, as a mother, how you should be treated.
Especially as mothers of sons, you
Yes.
Right.
have to teach them how to treat a woman. You know what I'm saying? And Ruby, you got it lucky because you know what I'm saying, you got a son and a daughter. So you know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you can show them both, you know what I mean, what it is, how a woman's supposed to be treated, and you know what I'm saying, and teach them, what a woman can tolerate and won't tolerate and shouldn't tolerate. You know what I mean?
That,
With me, I got all girls, so it's the same. It's the same for the same. You know what I mean? It definitely works out the same for the same.
You guys, I do realize that there's some things I cannot teach either one of them, but mostly my son. And I think that's why community is so important. And I think that
Mhm.
I think it's very interesting. And I love how Kathleen wrapped that around. I actually forgot to touch on that, was the effect, right? Is through this, like your perception dating wise and how you treat your loved ones in that way, and
Mhm.
the lack of correlation of, especially when you're raising children. And
Right.
so I think, like, let's just say this, I'm not perfect. I've done so many bad things to people in my relationship, but I've also know what I'm not trying to do. And I know
Right.
also what I'm not trying to give up. There's too much to lose. And so I
Mhm.
think the key is, especially when I look at my son, it's just like, even though I could feel some type of way about his dad,
Mhm.
I it's not his fault that he looks just like him, right? It's not his
Word.
fault that, I'm tied to this person that I just really have to forgive.
Right.
And then it's just like, also, like, I was like looking at both of my children, like, wow, you guys are like so much better than the both of us anyway. So I feel
Mhm.
like I don't think that I need to I don't need to remind them 24/7 that I'm their only parent in the house. Like, I don't need to remind them that their dad is not here, like things like that. And I had wished that things weren't so confusing for me as a child. And it doesn't mean that we need to lie to our kids, but we shouldn't burden them unnecessarily. Now, helping them to understand how money works and stuff to help their own experience in this matrix is a whole nother thing. I'm so for that. In fact, I think that kids should learn how to handle artillery. If you're, especially if you're going to handle that yourself, you should introduce them to it at some point. I just think that that goes hand in hand, you know? Anyway, but I just say all that to say is that anyone who's watching this, please remember how important it is, like in terms of like what your kids see you do. You know, my kids have seen me so mad. They've seen me stressed out and stuff like that. And I used to hide my emotions from them too. But it's like, no, you know what? I'm having a shitty day. Baby, mom needs like 20 minutes of you just leaving me the hell alone, and I'll be right there. You know, and it's okay to say, like, yo, step back. Like, I'm a whole human over here. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So thank you both.
Keeping it real with your children is the best way to teach them what life can do to you. Because there are things that happen to you that, what? I remember one day breaking down crying because I lost my Metro card. And that sounds like not like a big deal, but at that time, I had a Metro card that I paid for monthly, and I paid an extra fee on the fact that I rode the Metro North. So it wasn't just, it was a large sum of money to lose in one shot. So I broke down crying, and it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? And it was, I mean, I wasn't even thinking about how, you know, they looking at me while this is happening, but at the same time, it's like them seeing that is seeing that, yo, that's the kind of shit that could break you down to cry. Like, you just lost money, big levels of money. You out it. How you gonna put that? How you gonna get that back? Like, you know, so never mind when, you know, even when it came to like certain things going on in the house financially, I there were times that I felt free to speak on it, just because not only did I want to speak on it, but I felt like my kids were right there. They were. There's certain things I could just let them know based on what was going on with me. Like there wasn't nothing that needed to be, you know, hidden or sugar coated, or, you know what I'm saying. It was just reality. Right. So just explaining what the situation was made it clear to them, and then therefore they would understand. You know, growing up, yes, certain things can happen, certain things you know, you can go through some shit, but eventually you see that person evolve. Eventually you see your mother you know, find a way to make things happen, and therefore we move on and move forward. So all of that's teaching them life lessons. All of that is teaching them exactly how to deal with shit when they have to face certain shit that you know, might throw them out, or, you know, throw them off the little track. They got to figure out. They'll see, you know, based on seeing the example of someone in their household that said, nah, fuck that, ain't no give up in me, we gonna find a way. They'll do the same thing based on, you know, seeing that lesson in front of them. Seeing that lesson in front of them. Exactly.
You do hope that they learn from you. And I didn't give up when, you know, like my world was crashing, right? Because as long as we try to control our emotions and say, hey, this is what's going on, I'm a little stressed, because a lot of times we don't mean to yell at our kids, but we're so stressed that it's not them, it's we're so pissed off at where we are at in our lives that they get the brunt of it.
Sometimes it's because they be doing some stupid shit that pisses you off.
Well, sometimes, yes, of course. But
let's
then,
keep it real.
you know, like my kids knew when I was like, my one daughter, I was like, go clean up your room. And then she started crying. I'm like, what are you crying for? I just asked you to clean. Now I'm pissed off. Now you got me pissed off. Now I'm yelling at you because there ain't no reason. Go in there, clean up your room, you know. But it's like when we talk about dating, when we talk about even fathers, I look at my kids And let me tell you, they don't have to be around their daddies to have their daddies up in them. That DNA is there.
Mhm.
If daddy's this way, guarantee you it's going to show, and you're going to go, man. And I mean, I look back at, and I had 3 daddies. So, as I tell people, judge me all you want. I loved every one of them. I had those
No
babies,
judgment.
you know.
Exactly. Like, first of all, counting people's pum pum miles is out of the question around here.
Right.
We've been disband that shit around here. That shit does not happen. Let
But you
that
know what
go.
I'm saying is that people will judge you like, oh, you have 3 different daddies. Yes, I did, and I loved every one of them. But my kids do represent some of their daddy, and when I look at their daddies now, I'm like, man, what was I thinking then? Dang,
I
you
think,
know,
of course, we all do that.
right. We've all been there. But now when we start dating again, we also have to think about, you know, when we have a man in our home and they help provide, they're doing, they're giving to these kids. When the relationship breaks up and they've been being a part of those kids' lives, guess what? They not just leaving you. The relationship's not breaking up just with you. That relationship is over with for those kids. Somebody that invested in them, So it's like sometimes we
I
have to
mean,
make
shit
sure.
happens. You know what I'm saying? Shit happens. Shit happens. You can't control it. It is what
Right.
it is. You know what I'm saying?
But
I
it's
mean,
like you
I mean,
can't just have
the
anybody up
most
around
you
your
can do,
kids either.
right? The most you can do is in that situation. Is, I mean, it obviously is take your time, because I feel like this. You know what I mean? Before you even, when you end certain relationships, that's your time to get to know yourself and get
Mhm.
back to understanding yourself and understand what you want going forward, so that when you do get with somebody, you move slow as far as involving them with the children,
Mhm.
moving in, you
Correct.
paying this and paying that. No, before we get to that, we got to do a whole lot of process, a whole lot of
Mhm.
vetting, a whole lot of, what I'm saying, I might do a background check or two. I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, there's a
Right.
lot of things, there's a lot of steps we got
And
to get to before, and that's where society, we got to, you know what I mean? I feel like, when we look at social media, we see, people trying to, be on some, I'm booed up, or I'm, relationship status or relationship goals and shit. Like, that's not real life. Like, real life is about taking it slow and figuring each other out, because at the end of the day, you don't know what kind of situation you might find out, depending on how things go, if you move in and then you start finding out shit that you didn't know about that person. Like you hear about these horror stories on social
right.
media all the time, where you move in somebody with somebody, and then you find out that they into this, or they do this, or they have a whole nother life that you ain't know about, because you rush too fast. Or even like I said, you move in together, and then you find out that there's certain personal habits that they have that you never realized, because during the dating time, you didn't get to see none of that. You went
Right.
back to your house, and they lived at their house, but now you live together, and you finding out some shit, and you like, what the fuck is this? I don't want to live here no more with your stupid ass. So you know what I mean?
You're
So
right.
the whole shit, from now, when it comes to certain, in that situation, it's about taking your time, getting to know each other, figuring out, whether it's putting them on some kind of 90-day probation, whatever you need to do. But take your time before you introduce them to your kids, your bills, your full lifestyle. Make sure you know their lifestyle before you involve anything involved, with getting involved with your feelings and your
Right.
emotions or anything like that. Like me and Ruby talk about that all the time because right now she's, she's definitely dating, and the way she's handling it is beautiful. It's like, what? No, 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 no. Everybody chill. I'm moving how I want to. If you don't like how I move, then move the fuck on. But I'm gonna move like how I want to, and you're not gonna change me and change how I move. That's it.
Well,
That's
it's
it.
about learning to accept me for who I am, and I accept you for
Exactly.
who you are. But are there certain things that are deal breakers? Obviously,
Exactly. Deal
but
breakers are always on the table.
right, there's always the deal breakers. There's always things that we may not know until you actually live with somebody, because sometimes we just don't know until. But as women, we are so looking for that man to come in and save us. Now it's time that you don't need, I think I learned that I was looking for a man to validate I was enough. And you have to know that you're enough. And
Word.
that's where, when you spend time with yourself alone and start to learn you are enough, but you've got to believe you're enough, because if you
Exactly.
don't, you are going to put yourself in relationships that will continually break you and break you and break you. And your kids may even say, I don't like him, mom. He's no good. And you're like, okay, whatever, and we don't listen to our kids. Our kids are looking from the outside. They ain't invested in it. Even
Exactly.
sometimes our friends can be jealous. They can be looking out for us and saying, there's certain things I don't like about this guy. I just, I want you to pay attention. But we don't. We look through what we want this person to be instead of who they are. And then we, 2 years down the road, I'm done. I'm over you. Bye. You know, but we've invested, and now again we're feeling, broken by that relationship because they kept, just, as I say,
Being
somebody not invested in you, they
a
kept taking
broken horse anyway. Exactly. See, that's the
right, they
thing
keep
that you
taking from
you
you.
keep going through that until you actually learn yourself and learn what you want to do.
Right.
And that's the thing. As soon as you actually learn that and learn yourself and learn what you want to do, you're gonna keep going through that cycle. But and you can't really control what people do. You know what I mean? You
No.
can't really control it, but at the end of the day, everybody learns on their own pace. And like I said, everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? Some people I guess need it to happen over and over before they pick up, that's the wrong way to go. But
But
some
they don't.
people will figure it out
Right.
and figure out a new way to go about shit so that they not on the lower end of the stick, basically.
Well, and that's the thing, is we need to look back at, a lot of us don't even know where the root of the problem is and why we keep
Mm,
picking the same person. That some of
word.
them are getting better, some get better, but we technically generally pick the same type of men. Like
Mm.
they cheat on us, or they beat our ass, or whatever, excuse me. They those are, that didn't start with that man. That
Oh, it
didn't start,
most certainly never
that
starts with
started
the
way
first
back in
one.
your childhood, but you don't even know what the root of it, where that root came from. And
Which
until
goes back to the whole thing of getting therapy, which I actually am starting to see a lot of more people talking about therapy and talking about accepting therapy and not shunning people that actually go to therapy and want to get therapy for themselves, because therapy is again another way of self-love. It's another way of taking care of yourself, taking time for you.
Right. And honestly, when I was going through therapy, I said, that's my time. Nobody, I'm doing me. And when I've seen different therapists over the years, and they're not all
Mhm.
good. Let me tell you, they're not all good.
Right.
But when I went the last time, I said, I need to figure out how to change me because
Mhm.
nobody else around me is going to be changing. So, what is
Mhm.
it? Why do I keep getting in that same cycle? What is going on? But
Mhm.
I also started going, doing more holistic approaches and stuff because there are sometimes you
Nice.
go to a therapist and you just talking and talking and like, uh-huh, mm-hmm, uh-huh. They not doing nothing. And you're like, well, God, I could go have a drink with my girlfriend. At least she tell me I'm stupid, B, like
And that would have been, and that drink would have cost you maybe $10,
right,
$50.
exactly.
You know,
But
say rather than this, $300 therapist that ain't telling you shit. Yes, I feel you.
exactly, and here's the sad thing. As a rideshare driver, I always ask the young kids, "Oh, what are you going for your degree?" "Oh, I'm going for psychology because I have anxiety and I'm anxious." And I'm like, "This is the problem. Some of our therapists have the same freaking problem we have." But yeah, you talking to them about your problem when they got the
If not
same damn
worse.
problem. I mean, my last therapist, honestly, she was an alcoholic, but I didn't know it for a long time. I seen her
Oh
for
my
2 years.
God, that's
I didn't know
crazy.
it. And then she's like, you know what? You need a drink. I'm taking you for a drink. And then I was like, okay, because I don't
And
drink a lot.
going to drink with your therapist? No, see that
Exactly. Well,
she
I
took it too far.
stopped
Yeah,
seeing her.
she took it
That's
too far.
personal life.
No, no,
That's
no, no. She took it too far. She absolutely took it too far. You know
but
what I
that's
mean?
when I learned. This is what I'm saying. I went and had a drink with her, and that's fine. And then she was moving, and I said, well, I have my brother and his friends probably could help you move and stuff. When I showed up to her house at 10:30 in the morning, she was drunk. I said, yeah, no, I can't see this woman no more. Because even though she did help me in a prior, now I'm looking at, oh my God, my life's not that fucked up.
Oh my God, no.
When
See,
I
you
told
cover,
you it was the worst.
I'm like, I'm doing good, and even the guy I was dating, he said, you're smarter than your therapist.
I
But
mean, cause that's crazy. She asking you to freaking to get you. Nah, I mean, nah. That's nah.
but
That sounds like some type of trickery. Uh-uh.
no,
Uh-uh.
I mean, I'm just a nice person, to be honest with you. Like I said, and I had to pull myself back because I was that nice person, but here's the thing is, if your therapist ain't starting to ask you questions, and if they're not really having you, okay, I'm gonna ask you this question. I want you to go home. I don't need you to answer it now. I want you to think about this. I want you to start journaling because if we start journaling, right, and we go back and read that, we can also see how much we have grown. Because sometimes we can't even see how much we have grown because we are still not we're not looking at where we were to where we are now. And when you journal, you can start to write things out, and then when you read it and then you look at your life, 2 years down the road, you've grown. You just couldn't see it because there's still some stuff, and there's still some muck and mess that you haven't gotten through yet in life, but you will get through it and you
Mm,
will evolve. And because sometimes, you know, I can give you a seed. I can plant a seed in you, but you're not ready to receive it. And even your friends or your mother or whatever, we can plant seeds, but you're not ready to receive. And it may be some stranger that you don't even know. Plant a seed and you like, the light bulb goes off and you're going, damn, my mother or my friend or my therapist was trying to tell me this. I get it, and so we have to know that a lot of times it is just that we're not always receptive or receiving all the information. But
Well,
Great
yeah.
I
point.
mean, like you've watched movies. I mean, you've watched movies and you're like, I like that movie. And you watch it and you watch it. I mean, you watched it 7 times and then you see this scene. You're like, what? What? I've never seen that scene in here. I don't remember that scene because your eyes weren't ready to see it. I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened to you. It happened to me.
No,
But
I feel you because
Absolutely.
I actually feel that about this one song. I know there's a like there's a and it's an old song, and the funny thing is that I've been every time I hear the song, I'm dancing to it, and I ain't paying attention, and then all of a sudden I heard a lyric, like all of a sudden I heard a lyric that I never heard before, and it was like when I first heard it, it was like, wait a minute, where that came from. Like, I've been listening to this song all this time. I never heard that lyric before, and all of a sudden that lyric showed up. And obviously, it ain't like it just showed up. It had to been there all that time. I just didn't hear it. You know what I mean? It's like my ears just
exactly.
bypassed that shit. You know what I mean? But I definitely want to give you a chance to tell people your social media. You mentioned it before, not your social media, but your website. Definitely mention your website and how to connect with you. Because of course we'll include it in the description. And
Yes.
we'll definitely as soon as because we'll be posting this video very soon on YouTube, but it won't go live till about 2 weeks from now. So
Okay.
when it does go live, we'll definitely send you a link. But go ahead and tell people about your website and how to connect with you.
Okay. To connect with me, you can email me at info@2-empoweru. So EMPOWERU as in the letter .org.
Mm-hmm.
O-R-G.
Mm-hmm.
The website is 2-empoweru.org. The phone
Mm-hmm.
number is 1-888-966-0955. On Instagram at 2EMPOWERU, no
Mm-hmm.
dash. On Facebook at 2EMPOWERU, no dash.
Okay. Good.
Eventually, I do have my YouTube, but I'm not ready there yet. So, and I don't
That's
have it off
fine.
the top of my head, but it's like 2EMPOWERU. But that's the way you can connect and reach out to me. Like I said, I don't care where you live. I don't just know that I'm on Pacific time. So if you on East Coast time, don't call me at 9 a.m. your time because it's 6 a.m. my time.
That's 6 a.m. our time. Yes, that's definitely one of the
So
things
nine
I
your
try to
time is
remember
6
with Ruby sometimes when I get up in the morning and I have an idea and I'll be like, okay, wait a minute, it's a little too early. But then again, Ruby does get up early sometimes, so
I do.
it does work out for me and her. You know what I mean?
And
But
I ain't ever
it's a
tripping
good
when you
thing that you
call. So,
said,
okay.
right? And it's a
right.
good thing that you said that you're on Pacific time and that you're willing to work at anybody nationally, of course, you know what I mean, because after all you're just starting out with this. And
Yeah.
so when exactly are you going to take it to YouTube, by the way? Do you have any plans to take it, because you did
I
say you
do.
wanted to start your own podcast. When about did you want to go ahead and do that? I'm
It should
assuming
have
you're
been
going to do that
done.
on YouTube.
I'm going to do it on YouTube. Um, I'm looking at other platforms as well, but
Uh-huh.
YouTube is one of the platforms I want to do it on. And I've
Mm-hmm.
already started setting it up. And so by next month, I'll post on my website, my Instagram and stuff that we got it set up, because I've got a few friends here, excuse me, that also, would love to join me.
Nice.
And one's a single mother, one's not. Well, she's a mother to that dog.
Oh.
Hey.
But I think bringing different, because like people sometimes in my car they'll be like, "Are you from the South?" I'm like, "Where do you think I'm from?" And they're like,
Mhm.
"South, East Coast, Brooklyn." I'm like, no, born and raised right here in Portland, Oregon. They're like, really?
Right.
Because I think that I was that shy person, and now I'm stepping out, and
That's right.
And we
I'm going to
definitely
show
want
up.
you to step out. We
I'm
definitely
showing
want
up.
you to step out
Hey.
with this program, because it's definitely necessary. So, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the more it grows up, we absolutely want to see it grow with you. You know what I mean? And because it's absolutely necessary, and you definitely will. Get reached out by a lot of people that, once you decide to, put it on YouTube, and you
Mhm.
know what I mean, and be able to let people know what type of programs what type of, lessons you're able to teach, and you know what I mean.
Right.
And yes, and it makes sense that make that your classes not be free, because at the end of the day, if government entities were around to assist you in such a thing, that you would be working with them, obviously, because government doesn't want to do that. They only want to assist you to either stay on the welfare system, or just tell you make too much money, when
They
So
won't.
we're all
rebellious.
out there struggling. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So you know what I
and
mean.
it
But yeah,
is. It's about
but yeah,
keeping you in the cycle. It's
Right.
mhm,
about keeping the system is they don't want you to evolve. They don't want you to empower yourself
Or ask any
exactly. And
questions.
or
you're
ask
here to
questions.
empower them. That's right.
This is about empowering you. This
That's
is
right.
not
Hmm.
about me. This is about
Exactly.
you. This is about you stepping up and empowering yourself to say, I'm not taking this no more. Think
That's right.
about
Hmm.
the $1 million march that they do on the White House. Think about if all the single moms that struggle from every walk of life showed up on the White House.
Hmm.
It, a
Well,
million wouldn't even come
even this
close.
White House, with who we got in the White House, you really think that he would actually
Like
care?
that he
Because
cares? No,
let's be honest, because we
no,
talking
you're
about
right.
the orange man that is trying to put respect on his name. Like, his whole
Right.
goal is about putting respect on my name. So do you think that in this generation, in this time, that we in this presidency, that if all single moms showed up at the White House, you think what do you think exactly would happen?
Maybe we should bring the switch. You do some,
Because
There you go. He
bring
might
some
like that.
switches,
he might
and
like
say,
that, though,
you know
because
what? You haven't been whooped yet. You haven't been whooped.
because baby, he might like that, because
We got three over
I
here that
would
are ready
believe
to
that
do
he
it.
a whole freak. I would believe he a whole freak. Hmm.
You know
Oh
what?
And this
man.
is
And
and
that's
this
what
is
you're right. I'm sure he might like it. But here's the funny thing is, like, it's not just about the White House. It's about our state. It's about our city, about
Right.
our county. We
Agreed.
need to start writing letters to our legislature saying,
Agreed.
tired of you discounting us as individuals. You are willing to step up for this, and these federal guidelines have not changed.
Uh-oh. I think
What's going on?
Kathleen, are you still there?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
she gone.
Federal
And then
guidelines have not changed. No, she right.
paralyzed has not
Mm.
changed. They right, and she right. She right. It's like, you
Absolutely.
know what I mean? She ain't been
And I'm
changed,
so
and they
glad
keep
you
doing
said
the
that
function
because
word, and
we
they keep
mentioned
doing
that
the function.
similarly.
They literally judge you from based on gross instead of fed, instead of what you take home, and it's like it's dumb. But on
Mm.
that note, it's a great moment to end the
Absolutely. This has
podcast.
been a
You know
great
what I mean?
conversation. I love you very
Great
much. I
conversation.
love
Love you too.
everybody.
Man,
Motherhood
and
Sex
thank you for
Marijuana in the
watching, people.
motherfucking building.
Motherhood Sex Marijuana in the motherfucking
Motherfucking
building. Like and subscribe.
building.
And
Thanks,
yes,
Kathleen. We appreciate you.
check out the 2EMPOWERU people. I will put all the information in the description.
Appreciate you.
Later.
Peace out.
All right now. Well, that was it. Let's see where end. What we doing? Where's the end button? Oh, you wildin'.